Super progressive. What is good? We have been interviewing a lot of the up and coming stars in the progressive scene, and we're continuing that trend today because the guest on the Super Progressive podcast today is Zankee Gulati. Zankee, how are you doing, man?
I'm good, man. How are you? Thanks for having me.
I'm straight chilling, man. Nighttime for me, early morning for you. I appreciate you waking up early and doing this
No.
interview for me from Australia.
Thanks, man. No, it's been a pleasure. I'm happy to be up for this. And thanks for waiting for me because the time difference is just ridiculous.
Oh yeah, no, it's show, man. So yeah, your name, both your music and your name is something that has kind of been inescapable for me on my favorite labels on my social media feed. Your name just kept popping up, and as I dove into your music, I'm like, this is definitely a guy I need to bring on the podcast and learn your story, learn some of the stories behind your music and what you got have planned coming up and coming next. Let's start with the here and now. You have two huge gigs coming up. You have um, Skyline in Glasgow with the Soundgarden, and then you have the Meanwhile and Vapor showcase in ADE. Now, no questions asked, three of the leading progressive labels in our scene, and you are kind of a part of all of them with these events. Um, how excited are you, and how much are you looking forward to the next few weeks?
Well, it's a good question. I'm been looking forward to these gigs for a long time, and yeah, like just 2 weeks to go, and I'll be in Glasgow. Soundgarden is a big part of my, I would say, the little career. I started releasing with them in 2017, and Nick and Petra have been friends now. Like we chat a lot, and I'm so lucky, Nick Warren, like he's a legend in the scene, and to be big part of his label is, yeah, I still think, how did I do it? And but the biggest reason for the Glasgow gig is Graham. I think you met him at Skyline. What a legend! Like I can't. There's such a fresh thing to know in the scene that what Graham is doing is so like the scene there is small. Like the club is 300 people probably, but it's the best crowd I've seen. I went last year to Hernan's party and Gavin and Maddie played, and it's just amazing, like refreshing feeling to see the crowd there, older crowd as well, well educated. So, and be a part of such a big lineup in Glasgow is like it's a dream. So I'm very thankful, and I can't wait. And then, yeah, Meanwhile and Vapor, two of the Australian babies, like Vapor is a legendary label by Casey, and it's coming, like it's been back for the last few years, releasing some amazing music. I have a remix coming up for them next year, which is going to be pretty exciting. And Meanwhile, top of the line for me. Yeah, like, you have Bedrock, you have Sudbeat, you have Lost and Found, but Meanwhile has been really killing it. Like, when you listen to the releases and it's standouts. So, and yeah, big part of that label. Everyone's my friends there. So really excited to head over again this year with a big Aussie crew and play for them.
Yeah, I think what I've learned from I've been up to Skyline 5 times now just because it's a quick train ride up from Manchester. And what I've learned is that I think about this global progressive community is actually made up of a few hundred people in these different cities across the world. And that's really what it takes. It's not about quantity, it's about how much do the few hundred clubbers in each city really care about this music. And I think going back to the beginning of this progressive scene, that's always been a characteristic of it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's and you see familiar faces every time you go. That's the best part. Like same in Australia. You go to clubs, you see the same faces, you're passionate, you see them, and like that what makes the scene.
Yeah. And I want to talk a little bit, you're doing Skyline with Soundgarden. One of your recent releases was the Musafir EP on Soundgarden with Nick Warren. And I think it's a really interesting juxtaposition because I read a little bit about your career and how your release on Soundgarden Musafir, it had this organic, chilled out sound, very characteristic of the Soundgarden sound. But your how you got into this scene was actually on the trance side of things. And it's cool to think like you're releasing this organic music on Soundgarden, ran by Nick Warren, a couple eras back. These DJs keep reinventing themselves. Nick was definitely on, and all these guys were kind of more on the trancier, progressive trancier side of things too. But can you talk a little bit about your roots in in this scene and how you got into it through trance music?
Yeah. Well, I moved to Australia in 2007, and like that's where my like electronic music journey kind of started. It started by my brother. My brother loved trance, and yeah, we were going a lot of car rides, and he was listening to Tiesto's Just Be and Armin van Buuren. Imagine like those two albums. Still, like I listen to them a lot. They were I would say life-changing for me. Like I was introduced to like the long breakdowns and like, Hands in the Air. I used to watch Tiesto's Club Life videos a lot and listening to like a lot of trance. I've started going to trance parties in Sydney, Melbourne. Yeah, because I was living in Tasmania, which is a small city, like small state underneath Australia. So not much was happening there. So we used to travel to Melbourne and Sydney a lot to watch artists like Solarstone, Tiesto, Armin van Buuren, like yeah, like so my brother is a big part of it. And then my journey started like so then I started experiencing other artists like which were like Pig and Dan, Eric Prydz, Guy J, obviously my number one, was a big introduction to me from heard a few of his tracks in Injuna Deep, so that's where so I started from trance, I moved to Injuna, and then I moved to progressive house. So like Guy J's 1000 Words album is my all-time favorite. Like I've listened to it 1,000 times at least. So he was one of the first artists I saw in Sydney as soon as I moved. And yeah, life is not the same anymore.
I think it's really cool to hear about kind of your entrance into this sound because you said how um you started in trance, but Anjuna Deep kind of served as this bridge for you into this world of a different sound a little bit. And I think that's why there's so much optimism for the progressive, still the underground scene moving forward. And you see, for me, it's all new because I've just been in this scene for 3 years now. But for people who have been in this for a long time, say there's definitely a feeling of that a resurgence is starting to happen, and there's a bright future for this sound. And I think you can look at kind of these bridge labels like Anjuna Deep, and as they get more popular, sure, maybe every single kid that loves to go to an Anjuna Deep, one of their huge events, open air events, maybe they're not all gonna not cross over, but become lifelong fans of this music more over here. But more and more are gonna come over and discover that this world of
Yeah,
underground,
yeah.
the progressive sound, there's so much that it offers.
Exactly. Just the because Injuna has such a big variety market, like rather than like listening to progressive house, the market is niche, as we said. But when you go to Injuna, say like if you I haven't released on Injuna, but if you have an Injuna release, you get opened up to such a big market. And that's how you bring those people to the underground scene. Like so it's a really everything works really well with each other. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the last thing I'll say on this with the Anjuna, I'm just really thinking about it this now, is that the one thing about the Anjuna deep tracks that I think sticks with me is the melodic side of things and how there's something to grab onto, and
Yeah.
that I love that that's still there in the underground.
Yeah.
And it's like a characteristic that even it's not like this is commercial and this is underground. Like it's not like melodic is a commercial trait. It's something
Mm.
that's always been celebrated on the underground side of things as well.
No, 100%. I agree. I agree. Like, say Ingenuity 4, Ingenuity 3, that's where I started, where artists like Michael Cassette, 16-bit Lolitas, and those guys were really like they used to make tracks which would which will be stuck in your head. You know, you'll be singing that melody for in your head for like hours. So
Yeah.
like that's how, and then they used to play tracks of the underground guys in their sets, and yeah, it's just helps everything works well together.
So you're based in Australia, and um, recently it feels like Australia, while there's always been a history of the progressive sound in Australia, now, at least for me, now it feels like not only is there like a big emergence of it, but it's really going toe to toe with any other progressive country, it's really become one of the leading progressive scenes in the entire world. Like everyone talks about Argentina, and I feel like Australia is right there. And as I've learned about the history of this music with not only like the Anthony Papas, but also, I mean, my personal kind of favorite sound, which is the Luke Chable, Phil K progressive uh, break sound. It seems like Australia has its own kind of progression of the history of this sound there. And but what can you say about like where the Australian progressive scene is today in the global sound, and what are some characteristics of what someone may experience in, if they went to an underground progressive show in Australia, and what makes it different?
Um, I would say, yeah, as you said, like Luke Trable, Anthony Papa, Phil Kay were a big part of the history, like, but now the progressive scene, the sound is so different, it's this new progressive house that Australia is creating is a lot different than, like if you hear like Argentinian prog and like all that kind of stuff, but like I would say for example, Gav, GMJ and Matter, their sound is a lot more cosmic, like it's a big melody, it's like still driving prog, which I think an Australian guys are really creating it. And then you got the other side of Australia, which is Mike Rish, which is more of like I call it like angry prog, like it's a lot of growling sound, which is also it's a new sound, like no one else is making it. People are trying to make tracks like Mike, but no one's Mike. And so that also kind of makes a statement that like when people listen to those sounds, they know straight away it's an Australian, like it's GMJ Matter, it's Casey Taylor, it's Jamie Stevens. Jamie is also like these guys, GMJ Matter, Mike Rish, Jamie are like they're leading the scene in such a new sound which wasn't there back in the day. So I'm really proud to be part of this scene and calling all these guys friends. I've learned a lot from them. I started as fans and now I'm a really good friends with each of them. So that's a really refreshing about the scene as well, that it's small and everyone is so friendly. They want to support. We go to same parties, say if Hernan or Guy comes, we all go to the same parties and catch up and talk about music, and yeah, which is, I don't know if it happens in other countries, but like I feel very special to be part of it.
Yeah, one question I have, because I don't know, because I've never been to Australia. It's one of my dreams to go. One thing I'm kind of experiencing here in the UK, and it may just because of the shows that I've been to, but the progressive sound here in the UK definitely skews to an older generation of clubbers. Now, in Australia, since it's a new evolution of this sound, and I mean, in the UK, we kind of have the guys like Frankie Wah, I'd say, that are like that are progressive and bring in a whole new different crowd that has nothing to do, let's say, with the legacy sound. But in Australia, since it's a new evolution of this progressive sound, is it kind of like a great mixture on the dance floor in terms of who's coming to these events? You get people from all different generations of clubbing.
I would say so. It's definitely a mix. We're really lucky that we get a lot of Argentinians here.
Oh,
We get a
nice.
lot of Sri Lankans here. So Sri Lankans are mostly in Melbourne and then Sydney because of the beaches and the weather. We get a lot of South Americans. We're really, really lucky to have them, like they are a big part of the scene. So we get a lot of them, like say I had Simon Worenbaum's show in June, and I would say 80% of people were Argentinians, like young people, and it's so good for the scene. They are keeping the scene alive. And then you get the Australians, which are, I would say, still on the older side, say 35, mid, like that will be the rough age. And then Melbourne, there's so many producers, there's so many artists there, so they get a mixture of his clubbers as well. I would say, yeah, you're right. Much more fresher here, but still, in the end, the scene is still small, unless you get like the big artists. So lucky to have like the tourism in here, which helps.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. Now you've kind of I have so much appreciation for people like you who are involved in the scene 360 degrees. And what I mean by that is not only are you a DJ, not only are you a producer, but you're a promoter too, or I'll say an event organizer. And you have been doing your Boots and Cats event for many years now. And I want to kind of learn about the history of how you got involved in the industry on that side of things too. Because to me, what it looks like is by any means necessary, you were going to help build the progressive sound where you were. And if nobody else was going to do it, you were going to step up and do it yourself, not only as a DJ and producer, but as someone who's creating events for international DJs to come to.
Yeah, man. Like Boots and Cats is I run it with my good friend Simon Lovell. We've been friends since I was living in Tasmania. And like I moved to Sydney in 2015. I started like when I was looking for gigs, like I was handing out CDs, I was handing out USBs. But a lot of parties in Sydney were mostly like minimal tech house, deep house, but there was no like I was handing out mixes, but it wasn't just fitting. So like me and my mate were like, okay, there's something missing in Sydney. There's no Injuna Deep artists coming in. There's no progressive house artists. Like there is a big promoter here called Return to Rio. They do festivals and stuff. It's an amazing festival, but that was pretty much it. They were doing parties in here, but yeah, so next year will be our ninth year running Boots and Cats. We started in 2016. Our first artist was Max Graham. I don't know if you know Max
Yeah,
Graham. He's a legend. Yeah, so we had a 6 hour set from him in a club and had an amazing response. Like these people came out and like they were a lot of people were coming from the trance scenes because Simon was big in the trance scene, and so they saw us doing the show. Everyone came, they were introduced to Max. So at that time, Max was transitioning from trance to progressive house. So his set was really exactly what we needed to kickstart the brand. And then since then, we've had Guy J many times, Hana, Nick Warren, Ben Burmer, Tin Lika, Yorto, Lane 8. So it's been an amazing journey. It's been up and down. COVID was not good. It took us like only this year we've started to get the scene back together. And then yeah, the summer is looking really good. Yeah.
I think events like yours are really encouraging to up and coming event organizers like myself because so much of what we're exposed to, whether it's huge events that we watch live streams of or kind of the perception of events that we get from social media, where it feels like if you're not getting 700 or 800 people in the space, it may feel like, your event's a failure. And the best events that I've been to and the best events that I've spoken with people about, that's not the case whatsoever. It's all about the sound and then the quality of the people in terms of how much they care about the music on the dance floor. And it's really opened my eyes to that, a few hundred people. And I know your events get much bigger, but like just for anyone just starting out, that if you can get together a few hundred people and a really good sound system and a DJ who really cares about the music, you're gonna do something that means a lot to a lot of people.
Yeah, man. Look, the scene in Sydney is small, like as you said, like we usually get 200 to 300 people for say we did when we did Simon Worenbaum, we got 350, but the club was small, but our crowd prefers that. They love small club shows, more intimate, like close to the DJ. All you need is a good sound system and like a nice sweaty club. So
Yeah,
people really still respect that. And also the boat parties are really big part of the scene here. So I think this music is made for outdoors as well. Like it's a big part of it is the sunset kind of vibe, especially in Juna Deep. Uh, that's where we have the crowd is a bit older, so they prefer like an earlier daytime sesh,
yeah, definitely.
which really good for content as well. So as a promoter, we love doing big shows. Sorry, my cat's coming
Oh,
in.
hey.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, smaller shows are as important as the big ones.
Um, I want to focus a little bit about a very important person in the Australian progressive scene. That's Jamie Stevens. Jamie Stevens, kind of like Luke Chable, but in a different way. He's also one of my favorites. I had the chance to interview him. I just think his contribution to the progressive underground scene is twofold. One, it's extremely unique with the different groups that he's been a part of, and how he had the live band format going, a la Underworld, like so cool and unique to me. But even more so today, it's the longevity and the innovation within his sound that he's still. I could see how it's very easy for a producer to find let's say, a formula that works to be complete, to start to get repetitive. Jamie Stevens, you get the opposite. He's on the forefront of the sound. And when I'm going through music and even on Beatport in the promos and you see Jamie Stevens attached to a track, you know it's going to be good. You have no idea which direction he's going to take things. And it's
Exactly.
one of my
Yeah.
favorite things about him. You have built a very both an amazing professional and personal relationship where it's kind of been like, um, it just sounds like an amazing opportunity to have learned the production side of things from someone like him. Can you talk a little bit about how that has kind of impacted your artistry, what you've learned from him, and how you guys got together in the first place?
Yeah, man, like Jamie, he's a true definition of a genuine artist, a legend in the scene, like highly respected by everyone. I would say Hernan, Guy J, Nick, they're huge fans of like Jamie. He shows me like screenshots of like he's still so down to earth, like
Yeah.
he gets amazed. He gets like, wow, like these big artists are loving me. I'm like, mate, like you're the best, there's I don't know, you're Jamie Stevens. And he's still like he's such a nice person and very, very talented. I would be nowhere near where I am right now without him. He's the one who mentored me. He's the one who taught me a lot of about production. Like when I was starting in 2016, I traveled to Melbourne. I went to his house. We had few lessons. He still does my final mix downs. He still does his teaching. He's done so much for the scene. And the best thing about Jamie is that his sound is he can do I think he can make any genre. It's like in hours he can make any genre. His breakbeat styles are amazing. He has history with Infusion. A lot of people know about him from Infusion. Um, such a kind person to be around. His company is amazing. He has a good family. He's a perfect person to be friends with. I've been lucky to make music with him. I've been lucky to learn a lot with him. I'm lucky to call him a friend. We talk pretty much every day. Um, yeah, I have nothing bad to say about him, Like we're just lucky to have him in our scene, in our home country.
Yeah. Oh no, it's just really awesome. And
Yeah,
yeah, I'm such a big fan of his music, whether it came out in 2003 or 2023 or whatever. Like it's all just so good to me.
yeah.
Um, I want to get inside of your mind as kind of an artist that um, is in this unique kind of ascension period where things are going well for you. At least from the outside, it seems like you're getting these awesome releases. You're touring, you're playing internationally. Um, as an artist who is looking to progress in this scene, and I'm not saying success in terms of like your DJ fee. I'm just saying success in terms of going to play in amazing places, going to be featured on labels that you've always wanted to be, releasing on. I want to get inside of your mind a little bit and say, how do you, as an artist, focus on progression? And do you set, something like, do you set goals for yourself? How are you feeling like you're always kind of moving not only forward, but in a direction that you want to be moving in?
Um, I would say it kind of changes on day-to-day basis. Like I do set goals, yes, but I think best thing is to be around people who have same passion as you, who are on the same trajectory. Say like I hang out with or I talk to Mike, Rish a lot, Jamie and Gavin and Maddie. Like having these guys around and like inspire you every day. Um, like, look, we're no, it's a long road. I've been doing it for 9 years. I'm like, I see, you can see I'm touring like a little bit here and there, but it's nothing. I still have a day job. I still do events and then the production and touring. I mean, the DJing side of things come. It's hard. It's most like ups. You only see the ups, but you don't see the downs in the like in the social media side. But yeah, like to that's the thing is you're not by yourself. Everyone's going through the same thing. It's you just have to be staying focused, um, and never lose the passion. You know, like you just have to keep telling yourself why you do it. And like having, as I said, having people around you are your goals. You know, that's the goal. You want to be, you want to push them and you want them to push you, which is how, and then you need a bit of luck to kind of like, that's how touring starts. You know, you do a few shows and then you network. Networking is really important in the scene. That's why ADE is a really big part of all of us in here in Australia. We meet everyone that we talk online with. You meet all label managers and you go to different parties and you see all the DJs there on the dance floor after you finish. Um, so that's really important as well, not just I guess being in the studio and making music, being out there, making that move of talking to people because you never know, whoever you meet on the dance floor could be the one that makes your next move in the scene.
Yeah, definitely. I just love what you said about kind of the importance of the company that you keep around you because I don't think it's about being competitive. What I do think it is about, it's in this world, it's kind of like attrition. Like it's about not giving up, but it's also about waking up every day and doing your best to find inspiration to continue to progress. And I think if you're surrounding yourself with people who share that mindset of searching for inspiration to continue to progress, it's going to make you look forward to sitting down in your production chair at your computer each day rather than it starting to feel like a chore or a job or something that you're not looking forward to. I think that that's a really good reminder for me because in this community that we're all in, there are so many people that their passion for this music is contagious to you. And on days where you may feel lost or you kind of you're not really thinking about or you're not thinking about the positive parts about being in this community, it's a
Mm,
constant reminder. Everybody else's passion is a constant reminder for yourself.
yeah, no, exactly. You need that to keep going, you know,
Yeah,
because
no,
time.
totally. I want to this has been such an insightful chat, and I just want to end on like we talked about the few upcoming weeks, but when we look at the end of 2024 going into 2025, um, what are some things that you're stoked about that you have coming up?
Well, first thing is that the Euro trip that's coming up, it's going to be great. I'm playing in Glasgow, ADE, and then also in Lisbon. So the scene in Lisbon is growing up. So
Oh
I'm
yeah.
really excited about that. And then releases wise, I have my EP on Meanwhile comes up in 2 weeks. So I'm really, really excited about that. And it's been like a big bucket list for me to actually, rather than having singles, have an EP, which as an artist, that's a much better, feeling to do something like that for a label which is really highly respected. Other than that, promoter side of things, we have some really, really good shows coming up this summer in Australia. So I love promoting as me as I think as much as I love producing and DJing, I also love being, an event promoter. I love meeting these artists and getting connected with them. That's the best part about, I think, being an event promoter is that you meet all these guys. You bring the artists that you love and then you see that side, you show them around, and then you see them when you go overseas, say at ADE, I'll be meeting these artists that I've hosted. It's just a different connection. So I really want to work on that next year as well, make Boots and Cats a lot bigger so I can finally quit my day job and work on music side of things. So that's very exciting for me, and I can see it finally happening next year.
Oh man, I'm so stoked for you. I'm so stoked to meet at ADE this year. And
Yeah, man.
oh, it's gonna be sick. And I just want to thank you for taking the time to come on and chat with us. This was super insightful. So thank you.
No, no worries, man. Thank you for doing what you do. Yeah, we all really appreciate it. Like we still talk about you when we catch up with friends, like how important this is, what you're doing. And like we still watch your interviews with Hernan, like how told us a lot about Hernan, like how when he says that he tours 100 times a year, and I'm like, and he never wants to quit, which is really inspiring. And yeah, that's where I actually found about you.
And I appreciate it, man. Yeah. I leave a conversation like this, like more inspired than ever. So I appreciate that. And I'm just super stoked to share this with everyone. I know everyone's gonna love this. And I'll see you in a few weeks, man.
Yes, can't wait.
Yeah, it's gonna be sick. Awesome. I hope you have a nice day.
Thanks, man. Thank you.